Dad.
Welcome back to Ski Dad TV. This is part 3 of base skiing and offensive approach. And in this video, we are going to be discussing the exotic maneuvers. Before we get into the specific maneuvers themselves, I want to once again reiterate, the goal in base skiing is to have clean completions. Okay, these are still shots of different athletes from the most recent World Cup, Solden 2022. They're all shot on the same gate, and we're looking at these guys doing their best and giving their best form to achieve a clean completion. Now, base skiing does not define style for athletes. Every style or every athlete's stance is their own. A few things I like to look at when I'm looking at different styles: hip position, both angulation and inclination, as well as stance, foot width. Okay, narrow stances, wide stances. Everyone kind of has their own way of going about it, and shin angles. Some are a little more parallel, some are a little more knock-kneed, I guess you could say. Here's a few more. Some athletes have a little more narrow shoulder position or arm position, and others are quite a bit wider. So personal style is still encouraged in base skiing. The exotic maneuvers. Each maneuver is defined by the action of the skis in the snow. Okay, we are not going to talk about the maneuvers in how you get them or how you move your upper body or rotate your legs or any of that kind of stuff when we're talking about the maneuvers. The maneuvers are going to be defined by the action of the skis in the snow. Maneuvers are mostly executed at initiation. There are 2 exceptions to this. However, most exotic maneuvers that we'll be discussing are executed at the initiation of the turn. The ride phase or completion should be similar regardless of the maneuver at initiation. Just like we saw with all those athletes, we don't know how they came into those turns. However, if that was their style, that was their form at completion or in ride phase to ensure that they had a clean completion. Athletes and coaches should define and practice each maneuver independently. Okay? It is up to the coaches and athletes to come together and know what they mean when they ask for an exotic maneuver and have practiced that maneuver, so come race day or come a training run, they're not just winging it and making it up as they go. This is basically my best rendition of the exotic maneuvers, okay? Some people call the exotic maneuvers the bag of tricks, okay? So I came up with this table, and I started at the top with the speed generating maneuvers all the way down to the speed controlling maneuvers. Now, I want to start here in the middle. Let's redefine base, and I have this great video that I found when I was going through my files of a former athlete of mine, Lauren Masuga, from an end-of-season camp we did over at Snowbird. Now, at the time of shooting this video, we were not talking about base skiing or base position. What we were talking about was strong completions and pulling radius, okay? You can see that Lauren has great clean completions all the way down. Here's a good slow-mo of it. And notice that she is deviating the skis into the top of the turn. Okay, that is the definition of a base position or a base turn, is that little deviation of the skis into the turn. So let's slow it down. Watch what he's doing. Here she goes. Skis coming across the hill. Here comes initiation. There it is right there, the deviation of the skis into the turn, and then there's pressure, clean completion. Okay, angulation happens before pressure. So here she comes across the hill. There it is again. Deviation of the skis right here. Right here into the turn. Deviation of the skis right here into the turn. Boom, pressure. One more. There's a good clean completion, strong stance, good base position. Here she comes. Here comes angulation. It's coming first. Skis are deviating to the snow, and now pressure riding through completion. Lauren Masuga is now a member of the United States B team. She's having tremendous success, and I think that this base position that she was achieving as a U16 is just that, the base of her technique that's allowed her to excel in the sport and become a member of the US B team and really doing great things out there. So really proud of Lauren and hoping the best for her in the future. Back to the presentation. Base. Skis deviate into the fall line with clean pressure engagement. Okay, that's the middle. Okay, that's the base position that we're looking for. Now let's move our way up. Okay, to the speed generating maneuver, everybody's favorite. Extension. This is kind of everybody's favorite. Think of Ted Ligety in his prime. Clean roll from ride to initiation. Early ski pressure creates power. Now let's come on over here. So when we're talking about an extension turn, we're talking about the skis rolling clean from one ski to the other with no deviation. So the skis are going to keep tracking. Here's the exit of the old turn, okay? And we're going to have pressure up here on the pinky toe. And then we're going to roll the skis over, but the skis are going to stay tracking the same way and get pressure onto the big toe. And then that turn is going to roll into the new turn. So an extension maneuver is coming from a rolled turn. Here's the rolled turn, okay? Where extension, we get pressure up high early in the turn. Some people call this an upside down turn, okay? So that would be your Ted Ligety extension type turn. And I have a nice video of this from an athlete that I found on Instagram. His name is Luca Carrick-Smith. And I saw his videos and I reached out to him, asked him if I could use them as a teaching tool in my presentation. He said yes, and I'm very thankful to him. And that right there is what I think is a beautiful example of an extension turn. There's a little bit of a deviation on his way in, but watch this one. Skis are tracking and he's getting pressure up high in the turn. Okay, oh, I'm gonna be over here. All right, here we go. This third turn is the one. So here he is, okay, clean completion, coming out. Here comes the roll. So he's got pinky toe pressure, rolling to big toe pressure. Watch, pressure right there. Okay, so he's getting pressure up high in the turn, and the leg is extending. The leg is extending. Pressure's coming early by the gate, and now he gets a nice clean completion coming out. So I think that's a great example of an extension turn. Okay, let's go back to the presentation. Okay, next up we have two of the maneuvers that are not executed at initiation. We have a leg pump. Usually this is in slalom. Think the top flat at levee where you see athletes almost running their way through the course, okay? That's an exotic maneuver. You need to have the ability for a coach and an athlete to say, okay, you can use your leg pump through this flat section, or maybe an athlete's leg pump isn't that clean at that point and the coach says, all right, no leg pump, let's just go extension through this flat section, okay? The other exotic maneuver that's not always at initiation is any kind of absorption or pressing of rolls. Okay, that's going to be an exotic maneuver because it's obviously not a base turn. It's something different, something that a coach and athlete needs to be able to communicate and talk about within course reports or within inspection so that the athlete knows what they're doing and what they're trying to achieve on a given piece of terrain. Next up, we have a roll-up. All right, this is just a clean roll of the skis, pinky toe to big toe into the turn where the pressure comes a little later. Okay, so again, we're back to this image over here. We're coming out of the old turn, pinky toe. Now we roll the skis to the big toe, but different than the extension, the pressure is going to come out here a little more where the pressure is going to come in a base turn. However, there's no deviation of the skis into the turn. You're letting the ski ride the same track through where you're rolling the ski, pinky toe to big toe, and then pressure's coming a little later. Usually a roll up is going to be a little bit less angulation than an extension turn. We'll see some video or a photo example of that later. Okay. After a roll up, we have a base turn. We've defined that before, a little deviation of the skis in before pressure. Okay. So when I draw a base turn, I'm just going to erase the pinky toe, big toe, and I'm going to erase this right here. Okay. Because you're going to have some lightness of the skis, and now you're trying to deviate the skis down here and then pressure here. Okay. After the roll up, we have the Marco Odermatt jump switch. Now, Odermatt is running his own style, his own technique, but he's way too dominant right now to not include it in this list here. The Odermatt jump switch is where he's literally jumping the skis off the snow, turning them in the air, and he's landing and he's stinging fall line. That's a term I got from Bryce Bennett, and I think it's a really great one. And so what Odermatt is doing, he's literally jumping the feet from here, he's in the air, he's turning the feet in the air, and he's landing somewhere a little more here, and then boom, stinging fall line, engaging the skis cleanly without spray, and then coming through with a clean completion. Now this differs from the standard base position or base turn, because in a base turn the skis are going to be sliding on the snow through that deviation phase. Odermatt is literally jumping, landing, engaging the skis, and going through a clean completion. After the Odermatt jump switch, we move into the feather. Okay? I define the feather as a tail slide at initiation. Okay? Some people talk about feathering into the turn. Okay? If we come over here, we're coming out of the turn. Here's the angle of the skis. Remember, exotic maneuvers are defined by the action of the skis in the snow. So with a tail feather or a feathered turn, you're going to literally deviate the tail of the ski like this rather than roll it this way or just deviate it down into the turn. You're going to literally get here and then boom, the tail feathers out. The tip of the ski is going to maintain the same arc, okay, follow that same track. The tail feathers like that and then boom, engagement and clean rolling through. After the feather, we have the butter. Now the butter is where we're going to slide the entire ski on the way into the turn. Back over here. Here are our angles, the angulation or position of the ski exiting the turn, and now we are going to butter or slide the entire ski into the turn. You see when we do a butter, you're going to actually move this way with the whole turn, but the whole ski slides and then you engage and clean the turn. So two different maneuvers there between the feather and the butter. Feather, it's just the tail sliding into the turn where the tip stays on that track, and the butter, the whole ski slides and then you go there and then you're creating a new track. Again, clean completions being the goal. And then lastly, we have the stivet, the good old-fashioned stivet. In a stivet, you're actually going to turn the skis past the angle of the arc and then bring them back to the fall line or back to the arc. So in a stivet, here we are coming out of the old turn. Now we're going to take the whole ski, we're going to windshield wiper them this way, boom, slide, and then bring it back and arc. Okay? Exiting this way, the whole ski goes past the angle of the turn, okay? And then you bring it back to the arc. One last time. The whole ski slides, then you bring it back to the arc. Stivet. Now, I have another video from Luca Carrick-Smith that I want to show here where he really does a great job of executing a training run, kind of utilizing all of the maneuvers in base skiing. Now, I really like Luca because he has his own style, okay? And his style allows him to have clean completions. And then he's using a lot of these base maneuvers, exotic maneuvers to achieve these clean completions. Let him get through it one time. All right, let's start from the beginning. So here comes Luca into the first turn. Now I would call this pretty much a base turn. Notice the deviation. Okay, the skis come off the snow a little bit. Maybe it's a Odermatt jump switch, but not that much of a jump, but there's the deviation there. Boom, and now skis are engaging into a clean completion. Okay, so I call that a base turn. Now here comes a Odermatt jump switch into a stiv. Okay, a little combination maneuver, but here's the jump, just like Odermatt, and now he lands. Now the skis have deviated past the path of the arc. Okay, right here, here's the jump. Skis deviated past the path of the arc, and now you're gonna watch him come back to the arc right there, and then clean completion. So we'll call that jump switch to stiv. Here comes another stiv. A little bit of a hop there, but really it's pretty low. Here comes the stiv. Skis deviate this far, okay, and then they're gonna come back to the angle of the arc. So there's a classic stivet. We'll move forward here. Call this another base turn, okay? Clean completion. Here you go, the skis deviating into the fall line right there, and then there's pressure. Again, angulation is coming before pressure. Boom, but his timing is excellent. And now you have clean skis moving through completion. So we got here a little Odermatt jump switch. Now this is a good example of an Odermatt jump switch without stiv. Notice he is clearly jumping the skis in the air. There's the deviation happening while he's in the air. He lands and connects it clean. See how there's no slide of the skis once he lands and connects that? So that's a great Odermatt jump switch. And then we have what this is probably a rolled up turn. Maybe there's a little bit of deviation into the fall line here, but there's pinky toe pressure on the uphill ski, rolling to big toe, and now you have a clean arc coming out. And we're not going to call this extension, okay, because he's not getting that early pressure. I think the pressure's still coming right about here, where in extension, the pressure would be a little higher in here, and I don't think that this is quite an extension turn. We're going to call this a base turn. Oh, sorry. I don't think this is an extension turn. We'll call this a rolled up turn because he's going pinky toe to big toe and the skis are maintaining the same track out this way. All right, let's come across the flat. Here comes into view again, nice clean completion. Okay, there we go. And we have another base turn. Notice the skis turning into the fall line there. Pressure, maybe there's a little slide there. Maybe this is a feather, maybe it's a butter. Okay, let's look at it one more time. Coming across, here's the deviation, skis coming into the fall line. And maybe there's a little feather or butter in there. Again, feather being the tail of the ski sliding, butter being the entire ski sliding. Okay. Probably call this an extension move. Notice how much more angulation is here than that rolled up turn from before, and how pressure's coming up in here, where in the rolled up turn pressure was coming more right here. Okay, but again, clean completion. Little Odermatt jump switch into stiv, clean completion. You see a roll, okay, pinky toe to big toe. Maybe there's a little deviation there, but I call this a clean roll up. And now he's moving on to a flat here, and something we haven't touched on that was in video number 2 is his line. Look at how his apex is now below the gate. So this is what you would call running it out into a flat. So he runs a roll, a rolled up turn, apex below the gate, riding it out onto the flat, running it out into the flat, another rolled up turn onto the flat into his tuck. Okay, so this is a really great example of what base skiing can look like in a real run. If we had been identifying up here, but you can see that his apex is here, above the gate, up and out, apex, above the gate, up and out, all the way down, which was allowing him to have completions all the way down. Let's get back to the presentation. Base skiing in real life. So I went through the most recent World Cup and analyzed both Tommy Ford, the winner in the second run, and Marco Odermatt, the overall winner in dominant fashion. And I literally wrote down what kind of maneuver Tommy Ford and Marco Odermatt made at initiation of every gate in the course, starting at gate number 3, to see how they were executing their game plan based on the base skiing philosophy. Tuck rolls at the top. This is where they were able to roll into the turn, but they're in their tuck. Tommy 12 tuck roll turns, Odermatt 10. Extension turns, this is where we're gaining that early pressure in the ski and generating speed. Each athlete was able to have 2 extension turns in the run. Roll-ups. Tommy had 7, Odermatt had 8. These are just clean roll-ups, pinky toe to big toe, a little bit later pressure. Base position, 9 for each. Butter and feather, include them in the same category for Tommy. 10 of those, 1 for Odermatt. However, Odermatt runs 10 jump switches. He utilizes the jump switch more than the butter and feather, but they're kind of the same thing. So if you take those two, you see how the athletes compare there. Stivets, each athlete had 2 stivets. Dirty completions, Tommy had 2 dirty completions. Odermatt had 1, but he had a bobble where he was able to keep the ski tracking clean, but it was still a bobble, okay? Notice how the athletes spent most of their time between roll-up, base, butter feather, jump switch. All right, let's go through them one by one. Tuck rolls, okay? If you're in your tuck and you're rolling into the turn, I hope that you are having a clean roll. If you're not having a clean roll, but you're in your tuck, you probably shouldn't be in your tuck. Okay, here are the extension turns. All right, now interestingly, the extension turns for each athlete were on 2 completely different gates in the course. You can see Tommy, longer outside leg, early edge pressure. Odermatt, longer outside leg, early edge pressure. Here's a roll-up turn. Okay, see the difference between a roll-up and an extension turn? There's much less angulation. However, the ski did go from pinky toe to big toe, maintaining the same track. Okay. Base position. So here, good picture on the same gate. Each athlete had deviated their skis slightly into the hill or into the fall line before pressure. Good shot from both of them. Butter or feather. Notice Tommy, a little snow coming off the tail or the sides of the skis there. Odermatt, here's the jump switch. You can clearly see he has jumped in there. He's off the snow before he comes around and stings fall line. Stivet. Great stivs from both of them. They happen to be on the same gate. Okay, you can definitely see that the skis are twisted past the path of the arc, and now they're going to come back to it right after this still shot. Okay, dirty completions. See, here we are below the gate. Tommy spraying some snow. Same gate, Odermatt spraying some snow. I think that had a lot to do with the course and the specific difficulty of this gate. Okay. So I went through, that was Odermatt Tommy, Solden 2022. And that's one of the hardest World Cups on the hill, and it's early in the season. Not everyone's up to perfect form. So I thought, okay, let's think of what would be one of the easier hills in the World Cup, and also an athlete who was at the peak of their form. So what better race run to analyze than Ted Ligety in the World Championships 2015 at Beaver Creek. Now again, I went through gate by gate and analyzed what move or exotic maneuver he was making at initiation all the way down, and these are the results. Okay. Tuck roll, Ted had 10 tuck rolls. All right, let's look at the percentages. 21% of the time he was in extension. All right, that's quite a bit. 34% of the time, a third of the course, he was rolling the skis into the turn. Base position for 15% of the course, feather butters 8%, and one jump switch in the hill, which is interesting that he's running a feather butter and a jump switch, as well as one stivet, again at Beaver Creek. Most important number here, 0 dirty completions. Okay, so I think that's a big reason why Ted was able to win this race. Was also what made him so good. And it kind of validates the philosophy of base skiing, which is all clean completions. Tuck roll, great position from Ted. Extension, this is the classic Ted Ligety, full extension, knows early edge pressure, long outside leg, well above the gate, early in the turn, extension from Ted Ligety right there. A roll up, skis are tracking, going this way, rolling the skis, pressure's coming a little later, but it's a clean roll up. Base position here, the skis have deviated just slightly into the hill or into the fall line first, then pressure is coming. Feather butter, you can clearly see the snow spraying off the tails of Ted's skis right there for a little feather move. Jump switch. Now this was a very technical turn in the course, and this was also on the flat, which I found interesting. But he needed to get a lot done early, and he made a full-on jump. You can see he's off the snow here. Jump switch, land, sting fall line, make that next gate clean, maintain clean completions all the way down the hill. Stivet, classic stivet move. Skis turning past the angle of the radius, then they'll drop back and go. So one stiff for Ted in this Beaver Creek run. Okay? So the game plan. So, okay, now let's talk about how you, an athlete, or you, a coach, want to approach base skiing, make your game plan in races this season. Always, the third turn is the first turn. At the third turn of the course, you should be looking for base position, base initiation that'll set you up for good skiing the rest of the way down the course. You want to flow from your base position or base turns into your exotic maneuvers or your exotic turns, okay? So one turn, just like in Luca's run there, one turn can be a base turn, the next can be a jump switch, the next can be a stiff, the next can be a feather or a butter. But ideally, you're making a plan ahead of time. You're saying, okay, coming into this breakover and onto this big steep, I'm going to need to throw a stiff or maybe a feather to slow my speed down so I can maintain clean completions the rest of the way down the hill. The turns are all still comma shaped. Now, as you get into the more extension turns, the comma gets a little skinnier at the top. However, you're still thinking that there's more action of the turn at the top of the turn than the completion of the turn. Clean completions are still a goal. Again, you're identifying specific gates or sections where you want to be making your maneuvers or making a plan for where you're going to be using the maneuvers as you're inspecting the hill. I think the best way to look at a course in inspection and to utilize base skiing to its best degree is to identify where the apex is going to be at each gate. Now, if you look at a gate and you say, okay, if my apex is here, to have a clean completion coming through, again, up and out is usually what we're looking for. But if my apex is here, I can have a clean completion. And then you can look back up the hill and say, okay, what exotic maneuver or what initiation maneuver do I need to get my apex here and have a clean completion coming through? Course reports should include this information. There should be a good enough rapport between coaches and athletes that a coach can call for a stiff, a butter, a feather, or a roll-up, an extension, or just base skiing through different sections of the hill so athletes can feel confident and really know what their game plan is in attacking that race run on that day. That is all I have for the exotic maneuvers. If you have any questions or comments, please put them in the comment section below. I want this to be a conversation, and I'm really happy to answer or expand on anything here. If you would like to get some coaching from me, I am available on the GiveGo app. Please send me videos of your race run. I can go through them. I can voice over them. I can slow-mo them. I can draw little lines in them and give you coaching to the best of my ability level and hopefully help you have the best success as a ski racer. This is a value for value presentation. This is a concept or a philosophy I put a lot of time into. I put a lot of effort into. I put a lot of thought into. If you feel like there's some value in this for you, then please send some value my way. This equipment does cost money, and I am trying to afford being a stay-at-home dad for as long as possible. So if you see some value in it, please send it my way. What is that value? That's up to you to decide. That is going to do it for this presentation. Thank you for watching Ski Dad TV. Keep shredding out there.